had the scene come out and basically talk to me. And I learned a lot about myself. I told her about my YouTube video about my experience with schizophrenia and what it was like that I was going through. And she wanted to watch it, so I let her see the video. And she was looking into the details about what I was talking about. And it, of course, matches my records, but that's another story. And she noticed on my channel I had a video about religion and things of that nature growing up, Mormon, and that I became an atheist and things of that nature, and how I escaped abuse and stuff. So she was looking around at me, it's like, well, have you considered that you've been abused as a child as well? And I said, yeah, I'm aware I've been abused by a child. My mom left my dad, my biological father, when I was about 5 years old. And then she ended up marrying an abusive alcoholic that beat me and my brothers severely. He would take a belt and he would whip us with the belt extremely hard over just minor things that you would normally put a child in timeout for, or something like that, right? Or a light spanking for. But he would get drunk and he would beat the ever-living hell out of us. And I'm talking, he would beat us so hard that we'd have bruises throughout our body, on our legs, on our back. The belt would whip around and leave marks and lacerations on our stomach. The belt literally cut into our skin and made us bleed. That's how hard he was hitting us. And keep in mind, I was like 6, 7, 8 years old. And this is how hard he was hitting us. And my mom would keep going back to the guy. He would go to jail for child abuse and get charged with it and convicted. And she would just bring him right back in the house. She just kept bringing him over and over and over. I have no love for my mother. Don't get me wrong, I have no love for her. She started chasing giant dick instead of quality of man. She should have stayed with my biological father. Her excuse, and when I was an adult, was that my dad didn't want to spend much time with us. I know the reason why. My dad worked all the time. He was making tons of money. He worked all the time. He was going around the country in the United States, working his butt off, making money. And my mom would be a stay-at-home mom, and she raised us boys. And that was her complaint. That's why she left him, according to her. And the backstory behind that as well, being left. So that much I'm aware of from both sides of my parents, from my biological mother and my biological father. Now, growing further, I was about maybe 10 or 11 years old. My mom eventually married some guy from England, the UK. And he moved from the UK to the United States. He immigrated. And she was enamored with his whole English accent. She just really loved the English accent. And she was going through different guys at the time on MySpace and Yahoo Messenger and AOL Messenger, talking to guys over in the UK because she loved the accent. And eventually, she ended up with another abusive, yet another alcoholic. He wouldn't beat us though. He would get into our faces, keep us up at night, yell at us, and he would just be hammered drunk. Just constantly yelling and raving and ranting and hollering and screaming. And just non-stop complaining about every little itty-bitty thing. A very huge nitpicker, like a micromanager from hell. And worse still is he would continue drinking, and when he got too drunk, he became a pedophile that liked boys a little too much. I've told my mom about all this, and she's like, oh, you just want to get him in trouble. You don't see eye to eye with him. I'm like, when a child tells you that your husband, your love, squeeze, whatever, their stepfather is sexually abusing and molesting them, your first words should not be, you're just trying to get him in trouble because you don't see eye to eye. No, my mom's first words should have been, I'm sorry you've experienced that. I'm going to kill that son of a bitch. If that's not your first words to your child, when they let you know they've been abused sexually by somebody, you fucked up as a parent. But I detailed this stuff to my therapist, and this is something I can talk about. I've talked to other survivors before about child abuse. But growing up as a Mormon and being told that I had to join the Church of England with my mom and stuff like that crap, to be, in unity with the family and join the church so I can be one with the family with the husband, pedophile, and her. And I wasn't in the church. It wasn't my belief. I was with the Book of Mormon. I was with the Mormon church. And that's where I would go if I wanted to go for like home evenings and worship and things of that nature. But I was barred from inviting missionaries over, and I wasn't allowed to have friends over. I could go to a friend's house, but she had to be non-Mormon for me to visit her, and she wasn't a Mormon. She was this goth lady, goth girl named Holly, and Holly was my best friend growing up as a teenager. So eventually my mom had enough of her English husband abusing me because he ended up striking me in the face, bare-fisted, straight to the side of the face. And I told him to leave me the hell alone. And those were my actual words were, quote, leave me the hell alone. He just socked me right in the face as hard as he could. It really hurt like hell. But my mom got me a Greyhound ticket for the next day, which was, I don't know how much actually, now that I think about it. But anyway, she got me a Greyhound ticket, told my dad that she's sending me off to live with him, and just blindsided my dad, and off on the bus I went with it, regardless if I wanted to go or not. Regardless if my dad was picking me up or not, she made no confirmation with him. She just told him when and where I'd be, and sent me on my way. I had no choice in the matter, and my dad had no choice in it either. It's like, here's your son, take him, I'm done. It's like, your husband was a piece of shit. I'm sorry that you couldn't have the love of your life and your children at the same time. And she wondered why for a long time before her death, why I didn't end up talking to her very much, and why I didn't communicate very often, why I never came to visit, things like that. The whole time her husband from England was right there. The pedophile was right there. And I told her this whole time, I'll come and visit you, but I just need to be guaranteed I will not see that fucking pedophile. Just do not have him near me. Send him on vacation to the United Kingdom for a week. Kill him and bury him in the backyard, something. I don't care what you do or how you do it. I don't want to see him. And you couldn't even fucking do that. But yeah. Apparently the Cotard's delusion that I had was based on past trauma. And there's also trauma involving my ex at the time. Looking at old stuff, I realized I was about I was 18, maybe 19, somewhere in that ballpark when I was with my religious ex. And no ChatGPT, I am not trans. I'm biologically male. But somebody brought that up. But no, it's just the abuse from my childhood mixed with the abusive religious acts and the whole religious abuse thing going on, coupled with the schizophrenia predisposition, or presupposition, or I don't know the proper word, whichever it is. I was predisposed, I think that's the right word, to develop schizophrenia and then eventually develop into persecutory delusions involving religious natures like heaven and hell, and mine ended up being a version of hell, and that's why I ended up with Cotard's delusion. I didn't know this information actually, and I actually ended up having to look it up on Grok. I asked Grok about Cotard's delusion and how it forms, and I was asking all kinds of questions because I never really read in depth about it. So I was asking AI, I was asking X's Grok about all kinds of questions. I had to analyze my content and my past about it, and why I also had the experience that I've experienced. And it's confirmed, my therapist has confirmed, that is based on past trauma, both religious and household childhood growing up as being abused throughout my childhood life after my dad was divorced by my mom and had us boys taken away from him so that she can chase other men. It's a wild story. It's not pleasant to deal with, I know. But it's just something I've been thinking about after I got out of the therapist's office. And I'm actually curious, like, the whole issue with Cotard's delusion, the walking corpse syndrome. And I realized I've met somebody else that had Cotard's delusion. It was a schizophrenic that attempted suicide. And that suicide ended up making him believe he was in heaven. I remember at the time, because I was lucid, it was months after I'd been on forced medication. Found out, by the way, the hospital I was in is in Arkansas. It's named Rivendell. It's an actual psychiatric hospital. It's not a psych ward, it's an actual hospital. So, that's an interesting bit of lore. I didn't know that. I actually had to ask my brother, one of my brothers, my only brother I could talk to, about it. And he's like, oh, you were in Rivendell. That's not in Little Rock. I asked him where it was, and he said he didn't know, and I'd have to Google it to figure out where it is, but I don't care enough to actually find out. And I kind of don't want to bring back those memories by seeing pictures of the place. Anyway, that's pretty much it for now. I just wanted to briefly talk about mental health, my therapy appointment that I went through today. Anyway, tomorrow morning I'll have coffee with you guys, and I'll also answer more viewer Q&As. I still have to answer the questions in regards to what my hobbies are, and that's going to be a bit of an extensive video. I've been thinking about it, about going through my different likes and the different things I like to do, and just different things I find enjoyable to do in general, and things I want to do more of when my hubby's more independent and can do things on his own. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Love you guys very much, and I appreciate you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day. If you have any questions for me, please please leave them in the comments below. I'll answer questions that you have about my life, my opinions, and anything you want to know. I'll try to be an open book about as much as I can. So thank you. Have a good night. Sleep well. Bye-bye.